Welcome back, St. Lucia. Tonight, it's all about fashion. My guests tonight are in the fashion world, and we've been having a chat about fashion and the do's and the don'ts of fashion, and you know how to dress for your shape and your body size and all of that. But it's been very interesting. I'm not even going to venture into telling you anymore. I'm just going to let them take it away and to let you know what they're all about. It's all about the fashion sense. Ladies?
Okay, I'll let Erica start.
First, introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Erica McVeigh, St. Lucian by birth, and it's been a few years since I met up with Miss Carmen Penko, and when I met with her, I was really confused because I was sent by the Ministry of Commerce to Barbados on a program, a workshop for 3 weeks. And then when she started going into fashion and how garments should be cut, and she started speaking about pattern drafting and flat pattern making, I was like, oh, wow. It was so much. That's manipulation and how the garment should fit the body, hug the body, you know. And then when I came back here, I went to the ministry and I said, we need more. And it's been 5 years now since we've been pursuing this, and we could happy and finally say that we have started a fashion school in St. Lucia.
So, but Erica, before we jump into the deep end, how did you get chosen to go to Barbados to meet Miss Penko, to have this fantastic
Well, I
time?
accidentally came upon fashion. It was not, I cannot say it was my first love. I cannot say that I wanted to be involved in fashion from very young. I cannot say that. But I grew up with my mom doing sewing. And like I say, accidentally, I joined a program at NSDC in 2003. And then I got involved with the Ministry of Commerce and SEDU, always attending meetings, always going to functions that they have, trying to get more training, because I realized there was a lack of training. And even I going into the industry, there wasn't much that I knew about. So I wanted more training.
So when you went into the NSDC program, it was what, you were employed, you were unemployed, you just wanted to learn something else, you just wanted to
I just wanted to
improve
learn
yourself?
something else, because before that I was into secretarial, I was into program writing, computers, photography. I think I had done it all and I was bored. There was something missing. There was something that I just didn't find yet, and I was searching. So after getting involved with NSDC and I did a 3-month program, I realized I need more.
What did you learn there?
Well, I learned to cut garments, but we didn't do it with pattern drafting. Like they say, it was freehand.
Okay.
You know, just doing it on the fabric and cutting. And a lot of the time, you assume, well, okay, I will take that much. There was nothing, nothing certain about measurements and so on. And I think that is when my curiosity began. And then I got involved with SEDU. You know, I wanted to do children's clothing because I found there was so much creativity in it, so much that you could bring to it. But I knew for a fact that I was lacking where training was concerned.
So you got bitten by the design bug.
Oh yes.
From that very first.
That very
so you
moment.
design now your own.
I've done a little, but again, there is so much, because like I said, she confused me, right?
So you thought you knew, you were well on your way.
Little something, and you know what? I went, after coming out of NSDC, I got machines and so on, and I realized I didn't know anything. And so I kept on knocking on the doors of the Ministry of Commerce for the last 5 years, and a lot of them will say I wore down the carpet, because I really tried to get them to get more involved in training, because if there's not a foundation, then where can you go? And I'm happy to say that in 2013, The ministry did bring Mrs. Penko back along with CDB Barbados, and we did have a train the trainers workshop. But still, 3 weeks, and I might add, these 3 weeks that she was here, we were so eager, a small group of us, that we would go to a hotel room and leave at 2 and 3 in the morning, and she was giving us everything that she had. So it's been a long road. I'm so proud that we finally are here at this junction, and I would really like St. Lucians and the region to just get a little taste of the knowledge that is out there, what we are lacking as a Caribbean people. And our doors are open. We are willing to meet with people, sit and explain, because people still do not understand what fashion is really all about. A lot of people coming and they ask about sewing. Oh, I want to come and do a sewing, one of your sewing courses. It is not sewing. It is fashion design.
You see, because a lot of people are looking for a way to make a dollar, right? So, I mean, especially in this stagnant economy,
right,
everybody just wants to be able to make ends meet.
Right.
And, well, if you can sew and you have a machine, at least there's always school uniforms, there's always somebody who wants to have something made, so you figure you'll be able, so if you could just sew, well, then they think that's just where it is, because most of them grew up with a grandmother, a mother, a grand aunt, or somebody who sewed.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, we all say, well, I could sew. Sewing is actually sitting down in front of a machine, putting a piece of fabric under the pressure foot, and pressing that pedal. This is what sewing is all about. But can we really construct a garment to make it look good? Because, I mean, come on, I'm sure you look around during our Creole festival where everybody's trying to make a buck. But have you ever stopped to take a look at the construction? Or turn that garment over to see how it's done on the inside? Because people really don't understand what they're doing. And I will say it boldly, I may get some licks for it, but honestly, a lot of people, a lot of us, we don't understand what we are doing. We say, oh, you put a dart here, or growing up you would hear our parents say, you put a fish here, you know, to take in that. But you're really distorting the garment when you do that. If you cannot make the adjustment in the flat pattern, that blueprint that you made for the body, and even so after that is done, there are still adjustments which needs to be done in order for that garment to properly hug the body, fit the body. Because remember, we are black people, folks, and we are well proportioned. We are not like the people overseas. You know, we have all the shapes and everything. So if you do not understand how these adjustments are made on the flat pattern, then when you cut that fabric and you put it onto that individual, it can never fit properly. And if you do not understand what you're doing, there's no way that you could make these adjustments to get a perfect fit. And that is what we are here to do.
Wonderful. Now you make me want to learn how to sew. I'm horrid. I remember, St. Lucia, this is funny. I can laugh at it now, but at the time, it was not funny. And mommy, honestly, that was not nice. I was going to school and I had one stitch missing in my crest, you know, the pocket. And I took a pin, a straight pin with the color, the color.
The color tip.
Yeah, and my uniform top was pink, so I took a nice pink one. I actually coordinated it and I pinned it and I put it in there, and I was going to school. I'm ready, and my mom, you know, mothers, their eyes are so sharp, and she said, "Where you going like this?" I said, "School." She said, "Go and get that thing sewn." I took my knit. I had tons of knit. I couldn't sew for anything. One stitch.
You couldn't sew.
I ripped the whole crest. I was late for school, and all I could have done was to take off the shirt, put on another one, and head
down to school.
But no, my mother said I had to sew that stitch, and I had to sew it, and I couldn't figure out what the heck I was doing, and I ended up ripping off the whole. So I can't sew. Never have been able to. You should see things that I sew. Terrible. But I love fabric.
Great.
And where my counterparts love going shopping for clothes, I go shopping for fabric. I like all sorts of fabric.
Wonderful.
But then I can't get anybody to sew it for me.
Oh.
So I would come up with these designs, and I would have lovely fabric, and it's just sitting there. Well, I did find somebody now, but it's my little secret. But but it's true. I love fabric and I love to design things, but I can't sew, and I'm not a very patient person. So,
Well, if you know what you're doing, if you understand what you're doing, it's true that you need some form of patience, but if you understand what you're doing, you get it done very quickly.
well, I think that's what it is, because I
Yes,
don't understand
you don't
what I'm
understand.
doing. So it's frustrating me. I don't know what I'm doing. I think I'm doing it right, and then it comes out not as I see it in my
Exactly.
head. So it frustrates me, and I just put it aside.
And then again, that's why I will come back to say, we say we can sew, but can we assemble a garment?
And you see, you made
You
a
know?
comment earlier, and you say about the flip side, and look, and it's the most ridiculous thing when you've given somebody your fabric, especially if it's very expensive, and then they give you this thing, you can't even hang it up inside out on your line outside because it looks
Sure,
horrid.
exactly.
You know, put together that you could see where they've cut badly, and they tried to put it together. It's terrible.
Exactly.
So you now rekindle the fire. And so
Great.
you're saying that there is an option for
an
St.
option.
Lucians now to learn to sew properly, because a lot of people learn to sew in the factories. You know, at one
Yes,
point we had
yes, yes,
those
yeah,
factory
yeah,
shells where they would come in and they would assemble things. So one person would be cutting just the front, another person would cutting just the back, and somebody else would be assembling. It never made sense to me until you started speaking now
Right.
about
right.
the cutting and the assembling and whatever. So we come to the Carmen Penco School of Fashion Art, and that's what caught my attention. Art. Tell us more about your vision for the school.
I think but I'd like to say our, because when Erica and I think Erica used to encourage me a lot, really, because she'll say, we need this here, why don't you come, why don't you come? I say, Erica, if I can't do something properly, I'm not doing it at all. I did come down, and we did a needs assessment and went into all the little areas and found out it was really needed, and what the problem really was, okay, is simply because just a while ago you mentioned that that in the factories that people were just sewing and so forth, right? And that was true. They were given these pieces and they say, you make the collar, you make the sleeves, you make whatever it is, and then let's put the garment together. But that's not construction. I am just learning how to make a collar. I do it in the correct way to put in the collar, which is construction. Sewing, if I can sit on a machine and sew straight, I can sew. But to put on a collar is constructing the garment, assembling the garment. And for me, what I've realized working in the Caribbean islands, and I've been doing this for the last 20 years, I have about 40 years experience in the garment industry. I worked in England, Canada, the States, taught at George Brown College, so I have a world of knowledge, okay? And I felt, when I started to work in the islands, I felt, wow, people really wanted to learn to do something. And it really hurt my heart a lot when I had some of my students as Erica would say, they'll come to the hotel, they'll come and meet me, and they're having this problem, and I'm looking at them. Because when you're working and you're doing a stint for an organization, you're doing it for 2 or 3 weeks. You cannot teach them everything in 2 or 3 weeks, okay? And you find they come and they're stuck now because there's not they don't have follow-ups.
So you've just pretty much scratched the surface.
Correct.
Or
Correct.
scratched an itch.
Didn't I tell you?
And you just...
Yes.
Confused, right?
So yeah. So the thing is that so you look at all these people and say, well, what could you really do to help them? Because they have to earn a dollar. That's the only thing they know how to sew. And if we have take it or leave it, we do have a lot of single parents, okay, families, and they have to take care of the children. So how do they earn a living with struggling on the sewing machine. They do not know how to make patterns. They do not know how to cut. So they cut the garment freehand. Then when the person comes in and the person tries it on, now if you're making, let's say you're making this garment, this is a princess line, right? But then when the person comes to fit it on, you're putting a dart here, or you may put another dart somewhere else. Now what you're really doing, you're creating lines all the time.
It's almost like a Frankenstein of a jacket because you have a piece there, a piece there.
Correct.
Yes.
So anything in the industry itself, in fashion, in designing, this is considered a line. Where Erica's collar here, this is a line. That's a line. So when you start to put a line here and here, that's a design, okay? But when you start to create and put other lines, the dot, that's a line. You are now creating confusion without realizing it.
Distorted.
And I'm not, it's distorted. And I'm not saying this because I feel I have no knowledge. I'm saying this because I did it myself. When I was young, I wanted to sew. It's the only thing. I enjoyed it. I had people I was sewing for. I did beading, all the different things. But I did it. And then when I studied and studied at FIT, I was lucky enough to get a break being a senior designer in a company in Winnipeg. So I worked in Winnipeg and Toronto and also taught at George Brown College. And when I taught at George Brown College, I realized that when you're working for an institution, they set a format. And they say, well, okay, we want you to teach A, B, and C. And I was a little bit stubborn because still the A, B, and C didn't make any sense to me. But I went ahead and did it. And the dean said to me, you do what you like because your class is always filled. And that made me decide to open a school in Trinidad. And even when I opened a school in Trinidad, I realized again, I was only doing short courses. What do these people do again? So I created a full-time program, a diploma program. And today I'm so proud when my students would say to me, oh, tell us what to do. We want to be the next Carmen Penco. I feel great.
Wow.
Because I realize that now my students are teaching, okay? And so there is a need for it. It's not being a seamstress or a dressmaker. They are struggling, so let me do something now for these people, okay? And, okay, so I'm here. We decided to open the school. And I must admit that when I came, again, I was quite sure if I wanted to come and just do short programs, because this is what Erica said to me. She said, well, why don't you come and we just run some short programs so people who did the program and didn't finish everything will at least be able to continue. And I said to her, Erica, it's not a matter that they won't be able to continue. This industry is not about just doing a little bit. We talk about it on the whole. But it is not just one thing. If everything has steps. So you're a designer, you design, you have to know about costing, manufacturing, fabrics, it's everything that goes together. Okay? So I don't know what happened. I came, but to be very honest with you, I don't even know how I got into this.
But there was a need.
Yes, there was. And I started we put the programs together to take it into the ministry. And then I said, Erica, I can't do this in a part-time
It's
program.
funny how these things evolve, right? You start off wanting to do something and you said, okay, you run it by a few people and your juices start to flow, and then it becomes a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and then next thing you know, it's an entire school. But what I think is quite interesting about this whole process, and just hearing you speak, obviously you guys have a great passion for fashion, not just passion for fashion. But it's more than just that. And I'm thinking to myself, as a person who is somewhat of a humanitarian, I like to help people and I want to see people progress. It says to me that you can take a small cottage industry and add value to it, and then make it something that's bigger and that has great value, and you can do more than just something small. You know, I look at people, some people, they're able to put things together, a top, a pants, a skirt or something, and say, okay, look, give me $20 for that. But just imagine if you could design and you could construct well, and nobody would know whether it's made at home, it's homemade or handmade, or whether it's bought in a store, what we call ready-made, right? Wouldn't that be something? And at least you can get referrals and your business can grow.
I would love to see St. Lucia on the international market, and I am convinced that we can do it, and it will happen. And that's my promise to St. Lucia. It will happen. But the problem there is quality. I have found that quality in garments all throughout the Caribbean is very, very, very poor. And you say I use the word very, very, very poor is because even if you look at some of the ready-to-wear things that people buy, and they say, well, you know, I bought this it's from the States, or it's from Canada, it's from wherever. You look at it, and if you know good construction techniques, and you know about fit, and you know about stitching, you know about fabric, you would look at that and say, wow, you paid $10? That is the $10 worth that you got. So you might as well take that $10 and buy a good piece of fabric and make something that's worth $100. Okay.
But now it's a good thing that you just said about buy a good piece of fabric. But my passion is buying fabric. I love shopping for fabric. No matter where in the world I go, I will shop for fabric and I will come home with a piece of fabric. In St. Lucia, to my mind, if I were embarking on this project with you guys, my number one challenge would be to get fabric, good fabric.
Good fabric.
It is a challenge, but I think also, let me say at this point that I think a lot of the government agencies, or shouldn't say agencies, the government themselves should try to help the dressmakers, because if you are going to buy something and it's costing, let's say it costs you $100 for the material, and you take it to a dressmaker to make, and she charge you another $100 to make it, that's $200. Your first calculation is, well, I might as well buy $100 something ready-made and have it well done.
Yes.
Okay? But that is simply a lot of things that has happened here. If that dressmaker could have gotten that piece of material at a cheaper price, let's say she's buying it, okay? And she say, okay, I'll charge you the same $200, or maybe $170 or $50. She will be able to buy it. She'll get something off it, which is probably the duty or whatever. She can make that garment. And if she has the proper training and she knows about design, because you can go to her and say, listen, I want you to make this. And I've seen it happen a lot, is that, first of all, you want her to make something, but you don't even know if it suits you. She doesn't even know if it suits you either.
That is it. That
right?
is it.
So she makes it. And then you both are looking at this thing and saying, wait, you know, something is wrong. It just doesn't go together. So, and this is where I stress a lot on training. When you train and you learn how something should look, and you learn about people's bodies, because as Erica just said, we're Caribbean people. We are shaped differently, okay? And I've actually developed measurements for up to bust 60.
Wow.
I don't think in any book you can find it.
Wow.
And I did that because of my experience working in the Caribbean islands.
And there are some people who can't even sew for somebody who is bigger than Erica.
Yes.
You know, there are some people, they say they're seamstresses, but they can only sew for smaller people. Or you would find the flip side. They can only sew for bigger people. They can't really sew for smaller people. So it's like, can you really, but then again, it comes back to construction, as you were saying earlier.
Comes to construction, also it comes to, even if you're making something for the bigger person, you find that people, even when they're measuring a big person, you would find that they would probably bring the tape here, because they don't really know where the shoulder is. So if you are looking at an individual, you in your training, you are learning to see that person, and that person has got an oval shape, then hold it. I'm going to make the shoulders a bit wider and do something that would enhance the hip, that you wouldn't see the stomach or whatever the case may be. But a lot of times too, I also realize that even if someone is trained, people seem to have an image of how they want to look. Okay, so they will come to you with a piece of stretchy materials and they will expect you to make a garment that does not suit that material. The best thing that you do at that point in time is say, well, no, I cannot do it because the material is wrong. Okay, because if you take it and you make it, it will not look good. Then they'll say so and so make
you
it.
can't
Right.
make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the whole industry is an education for people to understand that in fashion, it has to do with lines, the look, the construction. We talk about trying to get our garments in the outside. We will never get it if we do not know how to price ourselves, if we don't know what quality is like. You go in the store and you look and you see garments hanging up. The labels, even a simple thing like putting a label on. If a quality garment with a label and they use a pin, will always go exactly where the seam is, not outside of the garment. And these are all the things that people have to look at and know about. If I want to get my garments on outside, I need to know what the standards are like. I know what people will accept. A simple thing like children's garments. You have to be very careful about the kind of materials you're using, acid-free materials, the designing for children, the function that they work. You know, you find that people are making garments now. You put a pin here, not a pin, a button, and the child tends to do this. What happens?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we call that
I never
function.
even thought of that.
Yeah, we call that functionalism in children's clothes. Or you may put a button in the back and the child is sleeping. And of course it's hurting the child's back. That's why if you notice in a lot of garments and well-made like stores for children, you'll see they use a lot of ribbons.
Yes,
Okay?
yes.
So it's a training. It is understanding the whole thing. So we have actually, when we started school, we started off with we have actually put about 80 programs together.
Wow.
80 subjects, because we have an online program too.
And this is open to anybody. Like, if for me, I don't know how to sew at all, not even in my dreams. Can I?
Of
do
course
you have
you
a
can.
program
Yes,
for
we do.
me?
We do. And the thing
All
is,
the
that's why
better.
we ask,
All the better.
yeah, it always is, you know. But the thing is that's why when people call us, we say come in and talk to us, because if you want to go into children's wear, there's no reason, there's no sense going through the full program and then going to children's wear. Our thing is for you to start to learn how to make things quickly and start to earn a living. Right now we have programs for about 7 weeks or 6 weeks, and by the time 2 weeks you can
You should be
actually
able
make
to.
children's garments.
Very interesting. Let's pause here. We have we're due for a break, but when we come back, more about the Carmen Penco's School of Fashion Arts. Be right back.